podcast. Today, I am literally so excited and honored to have Sunflower Medicine here with us. She is a transformation author, consultant, coach, and teacher, sharing stories and insights from her own personal experience and studies. And she has a new book out, which we're going to talk about. So,
Hi, I'm so happy to be here.
I'm
Oh, I'm
so
so excited about the
excited.
conversation. I love our energy. I think we're going to have a great conversation today.
Yes. So today we're going to talk about, your book, and then we're going to talk about holistic health and your journey with cancer and just so much more. So,
Thanks.
yeah,
Yes.
let's start with your book, The 21 Days of Self-Love and Mindfulness. What inspired you to create this guide for reclaiming self-worth and guiding readers on a path of self-reflection?
Well, I've been on one.
Yeah.
I kind of got that call, and despite years and years of really good intention and study, and I went to church every Sunday as a kid, and then in my young adults, I studied religion and spiritualism, but at some point, I really had a shift. And at this point in my life, I'm really recognizing that we are an integration of our mind, body, and spirit. Like truly, everything in my mind affects my body and my heart. Everything in my heart affects the others. So, having those realizations, I tell people when I'm coaching people about what you should do as your full self-expression, the best sign is that you do the things you can't not do. And I couldn't not write this book. So, yeah, I did that, and I wrote it in a particular way. I wrote it, first of all, in really short messages, like short lessons daily, because it really is intended to not only bring some of the wisdom I've experienced, that's part of it, but it doesn't really have value to my readers and your audience and all our people until they take their life. So it's got these great questions. And I would say that's the most valuable part of this book are the reflection questions you can take and have and apply to your life.
Oh, I'm so excited to get the book and start learning and implementing it because, like you said, it is those little practices daily that shift your whatever you're going through, right? And so that's so amazing that you did that. What was your calling to write the book though? Like, did you have like some type of person just telling you, or like you just had this energy of like, okay, I gotta do this, I gotta write this book, this is my mission, and so you did it?
It came to me. I had a lot of wisdom. And when I talk to people, they literally say, you got to write a book. Where's a book? Because I do. I kind of just drop my little pearls of wisdom. So that was coming. But it wasn't until I really sat down that I said, this is going to be a daily guidebook. This is really going to be something that it has to add value. You have an opportunity every day to add value. And since I've written it, I've started on YouTube on my Thrive Through It with Sunflower Medicine channel. I have every day has an accompanying video. So we kind of talk to it. And what we do is we explore the questions. Like I said, that important part is the question. And we really do what we can to take it home and add value for those readers.
Oh, I love that so much. I didn't even know you had a YouTube channel. That's so cool. Now you know, like you can check out your YouTube channel as well with the book, and
Mhm.
then combining the two is just going to be a powerful tool to shift your life. And I know you've been through a lot of hardships in your life. Do you kind of want to tell us your story, like what that looked like and how you did overcome that?
Yeah, I went through a lot of changes kind of early in my 50s. I call it kind of that midlife call, and I had the normal challenges with relationships, and I was switching a project with work and such. And I got a cancer diagnosis with throat cancer. And it was shocking. And my first thought was, I know I'm a spirit with a body, not a body with a spirit. I know that I can have a say with what's going on in my body. And I knew it intellectually, I had it in my mind.
Yeah.
And I really started the eating healthy and meditating and doing all the things I'd read to do. It had some impact. It slowed down the growth, but it didn't get rid of it. And what I really had to come to was that they weren't integrated. Like my mind, my body, and my spirit didn't talk to each other. Most of my body, I realized, was numb. I don't know how much of Brene Brown you're familiar with, but one of the things she says is you can't selectively numb. And when you numb one emotion, you numb them all. And so I first of all, I had to get really responsible with my body. I was strong, healthy. I would go do like one of those mini triathlons for fun, like without training, just because I could, which is fine. But I also walked around for a year on a broken ankle because I just ignored my
Yeah.
body, the physical sensations in my body. So I got connected with my body. I tried to follow the doctor's advice on the chemotherapy and radiation. And as I got more and more connected with my body made it clear to me this isn't right.
Yeah.
And everybody's different. So I'm not saying nobody should do that stuff, but my body very clearly said not working. So I fired my oncologist and I went to Costa Rica. I went to Central America and I did 4 straight days of ayahuasca. I did this. I mean, I hadn't even smoked pot, but
Oh
I'm
my.
like, I have to cure cancer.
Yeah.
So I did. I went to South America or Central America. I did my research. I found a place that I trusted. And I was able to get access to that connection
Yeah.
where my mind and my body and my spirit were connected. And I learned, so ayahuasca doesn't cure cancer, but I do.
Wow.
Ayahuasca gives me access to that connection, that powerful, powerful divine connection to where I can have more of a say in my life and in my body. So yeah, that's kind of what started me down this path with some of the lessons. And some of the lessons in the book are about my ayahuasca journey.
Whoa.
Yeah, and Bufo and some of the other things I've done to foster that connection.
That's amazing. And people who don't know, listeners, people who may be new to these type of things, ayahuasca and like bufo or whatever you're mentioning is like natural, natural.
Well, they're from the earth. They're natural, ancient
Yeah.
medicines that the indigenous people used, right? Sometimes herbs. The bufo is from the serum of a frog, so it's from an animal, but they're very natural. They're from the earth. They are ancient. And most of them are served with a shaman who's very connected to the ancestors and to the history and the ancient vibe,
Yeah.
and connection to those medicines. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that is so cool. How many times have you done ayahuasca? Like in general, right? I've heard so many amazing things about actually doing ayahuasca and then how it does help you connect with your spirituality or your higher self, etc. And I've heard people have bad trips over that too. So I know that you've done it quite a few times, and if you can explain more of that.
Yeah. So the first few times I went to do it, I went to a very trusted medical facility, but their program has you do it 4 times, 4 nights in a row. So, I got a few in really early on. I've probably done between 30 and 40 ceremonies with ayahuasca. And probably 20 so with bufo and yahe and some mushrooms and stuff like that. So, and the thing that's really important for me to communicate about my enthusiasm around these medicines is that it is truly access to a spiritual practice. It's not recreational, trips. That's not why I do it. And I think that has a lot to do with my experience. So one thing that is going to affect your experience is your intention and your preparation. To prepare for it, you've got to have a clean mind, body, and spirit. You've got to detox a little bit, and what's in your body matters. And nothing comes up during a ceremony that wasn't already there. Nothing comes out from outside and attacks you. But sometimes you do have an experience with an energy that makes you uncomfortable and that feels negative or that's scary. And so it's important, number one, to have guides, facilitators, shaman around who know how to work with energy,
Mm.
because it's all around energy. And then the other thing is to know that whatever comes up so it can be let go.
Wow.
And so the real challenging thing for us, a lot of us throughout our life, when something comes up, we want to wrestle with it,
Yeah.
or we'll hold on to it and we want to understand it and we'll get into the muck. We don't have to do that. You don't have to do that in life. You don't have to do it in a ceremony. It comes up so you can let it go.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of what I would say to those
That's
people who are concerned about, you know, what if it's scary?
yeah.
Just surround yourself with people who care about you, who'll take care of you, and be willing to let it go.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that wisdom because I've always had that thought. I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't want to do it because I'm scared that something negative will happen or, call it a bad trip. But
Yeah.
it's not a trip, like you said, it's a spiritual experience. You're not just
Yeah.
there just to take it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah, so it's so cool that you said that you need to do it with in a safe space with like shamans and
Mhm.
people that know how to move the energy. And that's so powerful that you've done it at least 20 times. Has every experience been the same or is it like different or always like good in a positive way? Like how has that been?
Every experience has been different. And every experience has been positive for me in that I come out with lessons. Now, one of the things about yahe and ayahuasca is very common that you purge. So there are different ways to purge. A lot of people, the most common way is that you throw up, or you have to go to the bathroom, or you sweat a lot. There was one where my purging was just moving my body, and I could not stop dancing. When my brother did it, he just cried. He cried the whole time, like his pillow was soaked. And so there are different ways that your body releases what it needs to release. It's different, yeah, every time, but the ayahuasca experience lasts kind of overnight, but once you wake up and the medicine wears off, that's not the end of it. There's like a probably 12-hour period that your body's still kind of settling down and your mind. Give it that time. Give it that time, and it's always positive. There are times I've been sicker through it and it hasn't felt as well, but there's never been a time when I came out of it not happy that I did it. Yeah.
Okay, so you do have like a reaction to it, so you can vomit or sweat or however your body wants to purge like all the negativity.
Yeah, well, and what we come to understand when I talk about the mind and the body and the spirit being connected, here's one of the things I learned when I was dealing with throat cancer. I was talking to people like from the Louise Hay community about, what's your body telling you? And people would tell me, you're dealing with a lot of anger.
Mm.
We've got to release some anger. And
Yeah.
anybody who knows me, I mean, my name is Sunflower. That's who I am, right? Who knows me knows I don't have anger, right? I don't get angry. And that's what I would tell people. You don't understand. And what they taught me was I have anger. I have been insulted. I have been mistreated. There have been times that anger was appropriate, and my subconscious knew it, and my body knew it. I just have trained myself not to experience anger. And so, because I didn't experience anger, anger lived in my body.
Mm.
So, the purging, literally, cancer is a physical thing that's in my body, a dense tissue from withholding energy. When I throw up, what I sweat out or what I cry, the things that it really is a physical release because going in, I was physically holding emotions that I wouldn't acknowledge,
Mhm.
that I wasn't even aware of, right? But that were holding me back. So yes.
Wow, that is so interesting, and thank you for sharing that because I've never actually heard in depth about someone's experience or how it actually all works out or really. So that's intense because I'm the opposite though. You don't feel anger, but I'm always angry or anxious or like irritated.
Good. That's healthy.
Is it? I'm like, is it?
But that's healthy because we all have things that will irritate us or make us anxious, but not all of us acknowledge it or express it. So don't stop. I worked with someone who was saying, he wants to kind of keep people calm in our project that we're working on. He's like, I need to be more mindful about what people see on my face. And I'm like, nope, nope, don't hold it in. You want to be responsible for how you interact with people and what they're left with. But pretending that you don't feel those things, you don't need to do that. You're doing great.
Oh, thank you so much. I was like, especially having a little one, like a toddler, it's like a lot of emotions and trying to be composed and not being emotional when they're having tantrums and stuff. Like it's a
Yeah,
lot of learning process. And I know you have two daughters, so
I do. And
whew.
a couple of grandkids. So tell me this, how do you, I realized that for most of my life, I've been this really great problem solver, right? But what I've really been best at is keeping people quiet, like keeping people from expressing their emotions. If I see somebody crying, I want to make them stop, right?
Mm.
If I see someone yelling, I want to make that in. I have a trigger. So how do you do with the babies? I know, I'm talking to my daughter about this. How do you encourage our kids to express themselves without just driving you crazy?
Yeah, it's a lot of inner work I've noticed. So before I would just start yelling and being like, "Stop crying. What do you want?" But then it's like I reflected and I was like, she's obviously frustrated and she can't communicate what she wants or why she's frustrated because she's two. So I let her cry it out or have her little tantrum, but I'm there supporting her, guiding her, like patting her back if she wants it. Like mommy's here whenever you're ready, like that's all I can do is just to love and support her and let her feel those
Yep,
emotions because if I stop her or if I yell at her too, she gets even angrier. So I'm like, that's not
yep, doesn't
working,
work.
obviously, right?
Good for her. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But as a baby, they know to get it out. One
Mhm.
thing I want you to try and let me know how it goes. I've heard that if they feel heard and known, that it calms them. And so matching their tone. I mean, if they're crying at kind of a and you start and you kind of hum or something at the same tone, I think I've tried it with my grandkids. I think it'll calm down. So try that and see how that works. They just need to be heard.
Ooh.
But you're right. Trying to make them feel bad or wrong for feeling something
Yeah.
or trying to express something just makes it worse. So
Yeah.
good for you.
Thank you. It's a lot of learning for me. I mean, I'm not going to say I'm perfect, but I'm trying to get there to a healthy point where both of us can be like connected, even when she is frustrated.
Yeah,
So thank you
good.
for that beautiful tip. I am going to so try that. She's literally been throwing a lot of tantrums lately. I think she's just frustrated. She's at the age where she wants to do something herself, and if she doesn't get it automatically, she's like so mad and like throws things. And I'm like, calm down, it's okay. We'll do it together, or just ask for help if you need to. But she's just like, no,
Yeah.
I just want, and I'm like, what can I do? I all I can do is support her and be like, okay, have that tantrum and like let it
That's
out.
right. And then they're not old enough to reason yet.
Yeah.
Eventually, you want to reason with them and teach them appropriate, socially acceptable ways to express emotion, right? We're just not there yet. You'll get through it.
Thank you. Thank you. This is so helpful. And that was exactly what I needed to hear because I've never heard of that tip to just hum or to be at the same tone as her. Oh, that's a good tip.
Just try it out.
Yeah, I'm gonna try it out. Thank you so much for sharing that. You talk a lot about like mind, spirituality, and your physical all combined, but what actually got you into spirituality besides having cancer? I know you said you grew up being religious, etc., but how
Yes.
did you actually tap away from the religious heart and find your own spirituality? Because those are two separate things that's what I believe. Like
Yeah,
spirituality and religion are two different
they
things.
are. But well, they can be the same,
Yes.
right? Yes. And fortunately, in my journey in religion, I really did take it on as a personal journey. And so it was between me and God,
Yeah.
literally. And so long as that's kind of how you approach religion and spirituality, it can take you there. And I have no doubt that that's what guided me. Um, but there is a difference between religion and a relationship with God,
Mhm.
right? So I would say the key to linking my growing up in church to my growing into a very spiritual person was fostering that relationship and that really desire to hear and receive guidance
Mhm.
from that spiritual realm. Yeah, which as I've evolved, as my thinking has evolved about it, that spiritual realm that I get guidance from is more and more inside me. Back with religion, it was kind of like up in the sky and around and me talking to God, but no, more and more God is like in my head, in my thoughts, and it comes from me. So I don't know how to explain that, but my experience of it is that when I do feel messages from God and connection to that creator energy, whatever that is, it comes from inside of me.
Wow. And that's beautiful. And I totally understand that because I do believe in God. I'm not like a religious person, but I'm spiritual, meaning I know that there's God, guidance, universe. We are part of God, right? We are God's creation.
Yes.
Um, I just don't know Bible verses because that's more of like
Yeah.
religious thing, but I just know. I just have a feeling and
Yeah.
a
Good
knowing.
for you.
Yeah.
That's one of the chapters in my book is it's called Sacred Divinity. And it's the realization that we are all divine, like that we are made from God, by God, like God. And one of I told you, the real value is the questions. But one of the questions that it asks after the chapter is what parts of yourself do you struggle to find divinity in?
Ooh, that is a good question. That's true. I don't think I've ever thought about that. Wow.
Yeah. But it's a great exploration because you can start to look at it. And, my example, mine on my video, I talk about it. I feel the least divine when trying on clothes. And then I gotta step back and say, this is just so silly because God doesn't care what size I am. I want to be healthy and all those things, but this is one of the triggers, that conditioning that we've had about a standard of women and beauty and that kind of thing that can take you out of your connection to the divine. Why would you do that? Why would you do that? So yeah.
And do you feel like when you do ayahuasca though, like it helped with finding more of like the divinity of you being more having God more in you and knowing that part versus like, realizing it's not outer, it's more inner?
Yeah, I think that my journey, particularly with the plant medicines, because I had the experience, it isn't a mental understanding. A lot of my spiritual awareness came from reading books and things that I could mentally understand. But when I really connected them, I know it. And the knowing is a physical, mental, I know it. And you know the difference when you just know something, and resonance is a thing now that wasn't before. And so because they're all connected, my understanding and experience of God is a mental, physical, you know, the whole thing. Yeah.
Wow, that's so amazing. And after doing plant medicine, has that helped with your cancer? And did that actually help you put your cancer in remission? Or what?
Oh yeah. Yeah. So I think I quit the radiation like the 1st of February, and I was in Costa Rica the middle of February. And then they had me scheduled for my CAT scans and everything in May. And when I went back in May, there was no sign of cancer at all. It's gone. And that's been 7 years ago. Yeah.
Congratulations. That is so beautiful and
Thank
amazing.
you.
And your story is literally like giving so many people hope because I know so many people with cancer and all they think is, oh, I got to do like radiation. And my dad suffered with cancer too. He had pancreatic cancer and actually passed away from it 9 years ago. And I just saw how painful it was to just go through that
Yeah.
experience, like chemo. It was, and like doing a big surgery too. He did the whooping or whatever, whoop surgery or something, whatever that is. It's like a big surgery. And there are holistic roots. I mean, some people may need that, like, the Western medicine, but why not try, Eastern or
Well, yes.
herbal medicine?
And so first of all, so much of the radiation and chemotherapy does a lot of damage to your body. So whether you go that route or not, getting the connected mind, body, and spirit, the strength, the wisdom, the resonance, the truth, it just strengthens your faith. One of the things I've learned, this is a mental thing that I studied kind of right before I did the plant medicine, was that one of the most successful drug trials in history have been placebos.
What? Whoa.
Time and time and time again, the the results, the efficacy of a placebo is as or more effective than the actual thing. Our mind has a significant effect on our results. We
Wow.
knew that. We've heard it, right? But it's true with medicine too. So no matter what treatment you're going to undergo, get aligned. Get aligned in what you believe and what you want and what you're causing with your body. Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's so true. Thank you for sharing that knowledge because it is true. Our minds are so powerful, but we don't really understand how powerful it is. And I always tell
Yeah.
people like, your thoughts create your reality. So if you're taking this medicine or you're taking that route and you believe it's a certain way, then it's gonna
Yes.
show up in your reality in that way, even if it's negative or positive. And so that's
Yes.
why it's always good to try to be as positive as you can. That's what I try to live by every day, even though it's
Yes.
tough.
But there's a difference between being resolved,
Mm.
like knowing, and faking it till you make it.
Ooh, yeah, because everybody always says that. Fake it till you make it. It's like the biggest, newest, not biggest, newest, but it's a big common phrase that everybody uses, especially when
Well,
you're
people think that that's the trick to the law of attraction. No, we all heard a lot about the law of attraction, where they were saying just think the positive, think, envision it, feel it, and that kind of thing. But you don't realize what's going on in your body, in your subconscious, until they get aligned, right? Like I said, I didn't even realize I had anger.
yeah.
And so this whole thing, people hear about that and they learn it mentally and they try the mental exercise, but to try the law of attraction without having the mind, body, and spirit aligned just won't work. It won't work. That's sheer will, which has a lot of power, no doubt. But the true, what you're tapping into with the law of attraction is that aligned mind, body, and spirit. And so, however you do that, I did it with plant medicine, but a lot of people access it with meditation and different work to really connect, aware of how your body feels and your connection to it and your heart and your higher self, your spirit. Yeah.
So how do you feel when everything is aligned? Is it more peaceful or you just have a knowing that it is aligned?
I tell you what, on more days than not, I look around and think, you know what? This is as close to heaven as it gets. Like on earth. Like, what about this isn't phenomenal? I do work that I love. I work with people I like. My family gets together. There are so many things you start, and I'm not saying there have been things that have improved, right? So, some of my decisions around work have put me in a better situation. But for the most part, how I see things and how I experience things um, is just beautiful because I see God. I see the divine in my grandkids. I see the divine in somebody else's grandkids, and I see the divine in my gray hair, and the different things that are happening around me. So it's a beautiful way to live. Yeah.
Well, it definitely is like a perception or a mindset, like where you look for all the great gratitude,
Mhm.
good, positive things in your life, which I am practicing. I'm not gonna lie, I grew up in a very negative like way of thinking and very
Yeah.
fast-paced, and everything has to be hard. So I'm always like negative. But I've been trying to shift that perspective because I know I was like, dude, living on this lifetime and right now is just a beautiful thing. And we're all here for a human experience. What no,
That's right.
right? What people say, I believe that we're soul beings here for a human experience. So take it as that, right? We're all this
Right.
eternal soul beings. So just have fun with this lifetime that you chose, right?
Yeah, and there's going to be lessons because that's part of being human. That's how we learn. And so things are going to come up, but the more you can just look at this as a lesson, and even when people cut me off in traffic, I'm so clear now that there is like divine guidance and I will arrive at the perfect time, that I don't stress out in traffic. It's like, oh, all right, well, this is going to take 15 more minutes. I'll be there when I'm supposed to be there. It's just a great way a shift. But here's one of the sayings that a lot of the people who I've done plant medicine come out of it saying, nothing is under control.
Mm.
I know there are a lot of people who are really freaked out by that. Some people are like, but I spend my whole life controlling. You
Yeah.
don't realize how tightly we hold on to some things,
Mhm.
and the tension that we carry in our body to do that. But to just really recognize that the divine is in me and is me and empowers me, yeah, it's all going to be okay.
Yeah, that is so true. But it's so conditioning that in order to feel like we are in control of our lives, we want to control certain aspects and certain things.
Yes.
But the more you control, the more you stress yourself out, and the more you get away from your true self and your true being and like connecting with the divine because you're trying to control, right? Isn't you're so when you are, or if you know that you're this soul, cool, amazing being, you're just gonna let life flow and just like go along with it. And
Well, you can. Yeah, you certainly want to look for that ease and that flow. Now, you're a mom. I hear you talk about, how much you enjoy that. And one of the things you've got to do to be a good mom is have structures in place.
yeah,
So it isn't, when I say let go of control, it doesn't mean that you don't put things in place to honor your commitments and take care of what's important, right? So I have structures about what time I wake up and my practices around meditation or writing. I go to work. I talk to certain people in my life. So there are structures in my life. And so I don't want to say just,
yeah.
don't make any plans and don't do anything. But sometimes when I make a plan that I'm supposed to do something and the doorbell rings or something else happens, I can let it go. I can say I can go with the change. But I just wanted to be clear with that. Just because we're not going to be controlling doesn't mean we're not going to be responsible with really effective structures, right, that support us.
Thank you for sharing that and being very specific because that is true. We need structures, but what you're saying is about not controlling that certain outcome or like exactly the timing of everything.
Yeah.
And that is
Yeah.
control for sure. Like, say there's a car accident and there's nothing you can do, you're at that route. Okay, just relax. I mean, you will get there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that makes total sense. That totally makes sense. It does.
So this is another one of the questions from my book that relates to this. How do you define your value?
Mm.
That's a question that we ask. I think it's around our purpose. But so many of us define our value by outcomes, by
Yeah.
what we achieve or accomplish, right? Things we can't control, by the way. But we think my weight, my beauty, my youth, those things don't, they're not always going to be there. But I was a good girl. I was a good student. I was a good parent. I was a good worker. And we kind of grow up thinking that this is what I do to be a valuable member of society.
Yeah.
But consider that there is a commodity that you have that no one on this planet has, and that is your personal expression,
Yeah.
the expression of you, uniquely you. That's the value you provide to the universe. That is something that no one can measure, right? And it's something that no one else can do. So when we're looking at outcomes, what we've got to control, our bank account or our reputation or whatever these outcomes that we manage, I've taken on shifting. What I want to manage is expressing my truth, who I am in any given situation.
Ooh, that's so good. But a question for you. How do you know who you really are? So I'm a twin. I know you're a twin, but you have,
That's right.
right? And then I'm a twin. I have a twin sister, but it has been hard for me, honestly, to find my own identity, to really and truly know who I am. Because ever since
Yeah.
as a baby, I've always been compared to as with my sister, and we were always considered one person together versus our own siblings.
Yeah.
But finally, when she went to law school and I stayed home to take care of my dad because he was really sick, we kind of learned to be our own person. And that was really hard for us because we went to high school together. We've been together since college, right? Mind you, it's like 20
Yeah.
years together. And so finally we separated and did our own thing. And it's been hard to find who I am in my own identity. But like now being 36, um, I've known more about myself, but it's been a journey. And
Yes.
how has like how if someone's asking like who am I, right? How do you really know that question and where do you even begin?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I've struggled, not struggled, but dealt with that myself. Because when you get to the point that you can have anything,
Yeah.
right? When you can create what you want, let's go out and explore and do what we want. What I don't even know what I want. I mean, I grew up in a thing with four kids, and we were just trying to put dinner on the table, and wanting and needing something just was a luxury, right? So now we get to this point where we experience ourselves as these divine, powerful beings, and we can have or be anything we want. What are we going to pursue? It's a journey, just like you said. But the way to identify it and know it is resonance.
Mhm.
You know what resonates, you
Oh,
know? Yeah, and so go for the feeling. Go for the feeling in the body. The body's a great lie detector, but stay connected and go for what resonates and do what resonates. Again, the we get to where it no longer is what we think, believe, understand. It becomes what we know. And the knowing is something you feel. And so, yeah, go for the resonance.
ooh, that is so good. Thank you. That's true. It's like a gut feeling that you have, that resonance gut feeling. And when you are aligned with whatever it truly makes you
Yeah.
happy or who you are, you'll feel that fun, happiness, and joy So for me, started happening when I started life coaching and starting a podcast and doing all of this. And it's always
Yes.
ignited something within me. And I just never knew or how to explain it. But I was just like, I know that this is meant for me. And I know that this brings me so much joy, even though it's a lot of work. But I'm like, I don't see it as work. It's just like, something that makes me truly happy. And I just want people to understand that you can have that within you, but you just really have to tap into that feeling and giving yourself space and time to figure that out too. Like you have
Yep.
to give yourself time. If you're always like out drinking and partying and doing all these busy stuff, like you're never going to really know what truly makes you happy, right? You're doing all these other
Yep.
things that's numbing your emotions to not figure out what makes you happy, right? That's
That's right. That's
society.
perfect. You're so onto something. I saw a quote. I think it was from a philosopher. I think his name's Colin Wilson. He said, the imagination should be used to create, not escape.
Ooh, I got chills when you just said that because that hits hard for me. Like it
Yeah.
really does. And a lot of people in our society do. I was that. I did that. Like, in my 20s, or like later 20s too, COVID hit. Like I was just drinking, partying, trying to escape
Mhm.
reality. Right. And people
I
just,
used to go to the movies 3 times a week.
oh my
And,
God.
and I love the movies. It's but no, I know now that like when I would come out of the movies, I was like dazed. I'm like, okay, what day is it? I went just to just shut everything off. And that's not who I am. That was an escape. A friend of mine used to say, how do I know if it's my ego talking or my true self?
Mhm.
And my answer to her is if you got to ask, it's not your true self.
Ooh, true.
When it's your true self, you know it. And if you question and you say, it's funny when people ask me, should I wear this dress or this dress? I just pick one. I don't ever have a favorite. But what I've learned is just pick one and then they'll choose the one they like. They're like, what? You don't like this one? So if you say, all right, I have a doubt about it, I'm not going to do it. But then part of you says, but I want to do it, then that's how you can kind of test it. But if there's a question, then that resonance and that truth isn't ringing for you yet. Just hone in on that and explore that.
Ooh, that's so good. Thank you for sharing that. That's so true because a lot of us, though, do really go by our egos a lot. Like we listen to our egos a lot. And instead of
Yes.
listening to our gut and our own intuition, we're always listening to that ego. Why is
Yeah.
it? I wonder. Like, I think
Now, and we can't get rid of the ego. The
no.
ego takes care of us and has gotten us this far, right? Certainly got us through childhood.
Yeah.
But you want to recognize that the ego's job is to keep you comfortable, to keep you safe. So when big game and when your heart and your higher self says, I want to go big. I want to take a chance. I want to go fail so we can learn. You know, that isn't what they say, but they say, go there. You've gotta know that the decisions that you've made because they were true to who you are and let go of the outcome. It's okay to make a decision that didn't go the way you thought it would or that failed. I know most of the decisions I've made that I failed have been relationship related. I'm just going to leave it at that.
Okay.
But here I am at this point in my life, and I can say if I had known then what I know now, right? But what I recognize is I wouldn't know this now if I hadn't made those choices.
Yeah.
Those choices, even though I want to say that if I'm following my heart and my heart's desires and I choose it, then it's going to keep taking me up, 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 and I'm going to be super successful. That's not true. Sometimes your heart and your soul want you to have this human experience, and it means we want you to learn this lesson,
Hmm.
right? And so be willing to explore, be willing to just honor, you will land where you're supposed to be, and it'll be beautiful.
Yes. Oh, that is so true. Land where you're supposed to be and just trust. Like, know that
Yeah.
God or the
Yes.
universe has the best outcome for you. You just can't see it. And that's what I've been telling myself. So I don't know if you know my story, but a lot of my listeners know that I've been through infertility. And so recently I just had another miscarriage. So I've had two in my lifetime so far. And every time though, I'm like, my infertility journey has brought me to where my life purpose is. Like I started this like business, life coaching in general, because I
Yes.
felt lost in my own journey of infertility and having miscarriage and having endometriosis. And it's just led me to this path, which is so beautiful now that I see, even though I had that miscarriage and I still don't fully get it yet. But I know that I was able to overcome it faster because I had the tools, the community that I built. And I was just thinking, like, when I first started this and I had that miscarriage, I was literally alone. That's how I felt. But this time around, I was not alone. And it felt so good to have that support and to see the two differences, you know? And it's so,
That's growth.
yeah. And I was like crying, like, oh my gosh, like I have so many people that love me and support me, even though I was sad, you know? But like before, I did it by myself, like crying, you know? And not having that community, which is so, so important. And it just showed me that my journey has continued to grow, even though I had the same, not the same life situations, but the same, yeah, situations happen again.
Experience. Yes.
Yes,
Hmm.
experiences, but it just showed me the difference. And I want people to know that it is a journey of self-discovery, but be open to all the life lessons. And I know in my heart and soul, like that confirmed that I did want a second child because my husband and I were like, I don't know, maybe, you know, our first time was tough having it, having Gemma, my daughter. And then I was like, yeah, it's gonna be hard. I don't know if I want to go through that again. And then like we got pregnant so easily the second time that we literally had no idea that can happen. But then we got this miscarriage. But then I was like, okay, universe is telling me I got some more learning to do before this happens, but I know it will happen. And I'm just trusting and surrendering to the universe, right? And a lot of women are going through miscarriages and health issues, and like you have cancer. And I just want people to have hope and faith that if they're listening to this, like just know that things are going to work out. If you really want to be a mom, the universe will allow that to happen for you.
That's right.
And plus,
That's beautiful.
yeah. Oh, thank you. Thank you. It's been a lot. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
But it's beautiful that they, like the universe brought us together, which is such a beautiful thing. And I love your name so much. I want people to know how you came up, like how that name came about, because sunflower has a lot of meaning for you. And
Yeah.
butterflies have a lot of meaning for me, but like sunflowers is for you if you want to tell that story, because I think it's so beautiful.
Yeah. And, I do business in my other life. I have my given name. That's fine. I've got no problem with that. But most of my life, when people talk about me or experience and interact with me, it's sunshine or, a ray of sunlight, sunflower. People have called me things like that always. Yes, I was a cheerleader. That's true
I
for
see it.
me.
I see
That's
it.
my true expression. So there's this whole thing around sunflower that is definitely who I am. But this whole shift that I've experienced since plant medicine is the medicine part. Understanding that I am medicine, that I'm my own medicine, that I'm other people's medicine. So yeah, I put those together, and that's just really who I get to be when I'm taking on this work and talking to people about this and creating content and books and such videos. I love it. It means so much to me.
I love it too. And I love how you share all of this good, amazing knowledge with us all. And you put it in a book for us to obtain it, to actually work through it too, which is even
Yeah,
more beautiful and exciting. And I really want to dive deeper into that. And maybe I want to get the book and then maybe have you come back again and then I'll tell you my experiences with the book. And then
do. Yeah, tell me your favorite questions and what they opened up. I would love that.
yeah, because you
Yes.
already mentioned a couple of them, and I was like, whoa, I have never thought about those questions. And those are
Yeah.
very, very insightful. It really helps you tap into like who you truly are and like to sit down and think about these things because I don't think we ever think about it like, oh, there's a thumbs up. So it's a sign. It's a sign from the universe, like thumbs up, do it.
I love it.
Yeah, it is. And it's so amazing how just answering certain questions, though, can be so powerful. And people always make it seem like to heal from something is going to take so much work. I mean, yes, it's a journey, but just doing the actions, and it doesn't have to be complicated or as hard as you think. Just answering questions. I mean, how hard can that
Just
be?
explore. It's a really great way to expand your self-awareness. It's something that psychologists figured out early on. We don't know what we think until someone asks us. Like there are all kinds of paradigms and beliefs and things running around up here that we aren't aware of until someone asks us, you know? And so this book attempts to kind of ask you some questions that expand your ability to get to know yourself and even define yourself.
Oh, I'm so excited. I'm so excited to explore that. Are you going to write more books just in the future?
I have another one that's almost like it's a little over half done. And I'm gonna, now that you ask,
Yeah.
it's called Midlife Medicine. I'm
Ooh.
excited about it because, my thing kind of came at my midlife. And a lot of us get to like late 40s, 50s, and maybe even earlier on. I'm so pleased to see that younger people are looking at this, but we start to say, is there more to life? Who am I? What does this look like? And so it integrates that with my call to medicine. It talks a lot about ayahuasca and psilocybin and bufo. What are the work, what to expect. So yeah, that's going to be out toward the end of this year. I'll keep you posted.
Ooh, yes. We're gonna have to have you come back on too to share about that book and my experience with your first book, and then we'll talk about
Yay.
that would be so exciting. And I know that you want to like actually do something like a retreat next year if you want to talk about it because I truly want to join. I already told my friend,
Yes.
like, I was like, hey, you want to go to a retreat with me to do ayahuasca? And she's like, I've been wanting to do
Yes.
ayahuasca. And then she's like, well, I'm a little scared because I've heard stories that people throw up. And then I'm like,
Yeah.
well, it's, but now I know why, because your body is purging it. It doesn't mean you're gonna throw up. Maybe you might have sweating or crying. You don't
Yeah.
know. You don't know. And then
It's different for everybody. And it's amazing how many people are told the beautiful benefits of this, but we're so conditioned to like, yeah, but I'm going to throw up by someone's going to, so, but I totally get it. And yes, so I've done a little bit of research myself, right? I've done some experience. I've gone out there and explored some different places to do these different medicines. And I've found people I trust.
yeah.
And so I'm going to host like 3 and 5 day retreats for some, I'll do some retreats that are just really going through the lessons in our book that we can talk and we can just do that in a beautiful setting and maybe do some yoga and meditation. The people who want to do the plant medicine with a community, with some coaching and integration and references about who's going to serve the medicine and what it's going to be like, I'll be offering those. I've got my website is up. It's www.sunflower-medicine.com. I just don't have any dates yet. I'm working with the facilitators and the shaman on 2025, but we'll have a few dates up there soon.
Yeah, I'm so excited. And last but not least, though, I know you said when you do ayahuasca, though, your first experience is not going to be like, you know, gonna be straightforward, great. So then you recommended at least a couple of times, correct, to do it and to
Yeah.
actually feel the true essence of how ayahuasca really works on your body.
Well, my experience, and like I said, I went to a place that did it 4 days, which was good for me. I think 3 days is probably sufficient. But the first day that you do it, we're all such perfectionists. We're trying so hard. You go into it, it's hard to turn off your mind, you know? So even as you get into things, you're like, oh my God, am I going to throw up? Oh my God, what's it going to be like? And there are people around. I'm telling you, once the medicine kicks in, you don't know who is with You don't know. You're in this other world, so you don't have to worry about that. But your mind is really kind of, it's hard to let go at the first time you do it. And so for me, I was like, was that a sign? What is that? What does that mean? Was that a trophy? Did I see a trophy? And I had trophies, and I start all of this like in the middle of the whole thing. And so I came out of it just really trying to think of something very profound that I thought, and I'm not going to say there wasn't value in it. I certainly purged and opened some things up, but it wasn't until then the next day I could be like, okay, I know what to expect. I love these people. We're all here for one another. And the whole purging thing, if I do hear anyone purge, I'm going to be happy for them because I know that it feels so much better when it's over. So yeah, I recommend more than one. If you just do one, you're really going to be in your head. It's going to be hard to get as much value out of it.
Yeah, I definitely know that that's my type. Like I've always been in my head, and I know that for me, I would need, more than one-time experience to actually get the true experience. Oh, I'm so excited to have you here today. This was such a great conversation. I'm so excited to hear more about you and, what you're doing. And really, I'm just so happy that we're able to connect. And this conversation was just so beautiful and insightful. And thank you for all the knowledge that you brought. Do you have any last words for the listeners before we, end this conversation?
I don't think so. Thank you for having me. I've totally enjoyed the conversation. I can't wait to hear more about is it your daughter?
Yes.
Your daughter getting bigger and growing up and your journey. I'm thrilled that we connected. We will talk again soon. Thank
Yes.
you.
Thank you.